What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be taking a look over here at the XRP price chart, mixed with talking about the Bitcoin price chart as we head through the weekend, along with incorporating in the bigger macro picture of what's going on out there in the stock market, as this week we are having the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 attempt to have a closure of the week above all retracement levels. We'll take a peek over here at the US dollar currency index, or the DXY, which last week was our big breakdown in the DXY in the last couple of days. Little throwback down here to the support levels. We'll see if we could try to decipher what's going on here with XRP after last week's epic rise that came off a summary judgment in which Judge Torres stated that XRP in and of itself is not an investment contract or not a security. Last week, price immediately jumped as if we had back in 2017 after the same type of consolidation period on day 820 of day 826 of accumulation that we've been watching on this channel gruelingly for a very long time. Just like magic, it shows up right on cue. Price has been in consolidation for this past week, which is something we were expecting. However, the one thing we can see is that price has certainly calmed down. We've been talking about this throughout the week, watching on this like 1 week range that we've been in here, watching about how price had been responding right on cue, getting back to the retracement levels as we had in that range in 2017. Yesterday, I put out a video and said, hey, look, we're starting to see indicators begin to flip. The price was 81.3 cents. Things are starting to deviate, as we can clearly see they still have. It does appear we have lost that momentum. You can look at the underlying indicators in here to see that, rather than continuing on and continuing the rage up. We began it and then immediately started to lose it, which I showed you guys yesterday on the video right here. Once we started to really kind of flip this thing back down, hey, the steam is starting to get lost. Well, it's not the end all be all. We could clearly see we are now not moving at the same velocity of this accumulation schematic any longer. We haven't broken down from the range. We're still sitting at 76, 77 cents. But now it opens up the door for a whole lot more possibilities in regards to accumulations, how long these can remain in here. Pointing back to the things that we talked about really all week, saying, hey, there's this missing element here that just doesn't want to show up. And while we all want to create these narratives for why XRP goes to moon, when we look at historical bull runs that take place for XRP, it's accompanied with the rest of the market, with Bitcoin strength, and Bitcoin still just hasn't woken up yet. So I've definitely calmed down on being excited about the last time that we just rammed up. You can see we got back into retracement levels. For those who watch this channel a lot, we talk about how retracement levels can be your make or your break zone. Notice we struggle at the retracement zone for just about 8 hours to finally go plow through it. As we get back to retracement levels, what do? We really struggle at them, and now we pull back from them. We're definitely going to have to be looking elsewhere now, especially if we go take out like that 50 moving average here on the 4-hour time frame. Obviously, we didn't even come close to going and taking that out. When you zoom out on it and you just look at the whole range and the price behavior we're in, right? We can have all types of accumulations that can happen. You guys know, talk about this. So we have crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then you can go on into another move. Problem's going to be the things that we talk about all week. Just the height of which we have done this accumulation at, it still leaves this door open. As we know, we back tested the top of the breakout range. We've been settling much higher than the breakout range, right? You could see in here how we built a really nice support on top before shifting up. We've been up in here. We've talked about that all week. Nothing crazy has happened in here, right? This is just ranging happening in here. But to look for ranging that was ready to rock really quickly, those things have faded as we then flipped back over, unlike continuing strength. So as for short-term action, looking for breakouts to happen right now, I'm not seeing those type of behaviors showing up in here, rather than seeing strength starting to build underneath, and then finally price follows. So my thoughts are, like I've been stating for the last week, we probably need to see things turn up in the rest of the market as well. It's definitely exciting to be up in the 70s again. We haven't been here in a year and a half, but meanwhile, Bitcoin's just been sitting here for a month at this point. The optimistic macro conditions for Bitcoin this week and for additional liquidity in the market would stem back to looking at the stock market this week. We will have the close later today. This will be something to pay attention to today. Throughout this week, all indexes have gotten above all retracement levels. Like we just showed with XRP, those retracement levels can become big problems. And we know that the 702 retracement for the Dow Jones Industrial Average was a problem for over 8 months. But this week, not only did we break with the weekly candle through the 702 retracement, we're even sitting above the last retracement level, the 786 Fibonacci. This is also true for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Now, yesterday, we saw a big spill happen over there in the stock market when it came to the NASDAQ and when it came to the S&P 500. However, the Dow Jones actually had a green day. The things to watch for today will be if the stock market does have a green day heading into the weekend. That would probably bring some optimism for the weekend should we see green in the stock market today. Why would we want to see specifically green closes happening in the indexes? And it's because of the exact locations of where these are at. You could see that the Dow Jones just sits a tick above the last retracement level, merely 30 points above it. Should we end green, especially if we have a decent green day today in the Dow, we can get ourselves a convincing break through all retracement levels and get a weekly close above there. As for the NASDAQ, we did close last week above the 786 Fibonacci retracement, or the last one. And yesterday's big move in the NASDAQ, which was down 360 points. That's a big move for the NASDAQ. That's 2.28% in one day. But that move was taking us back to the broken retracement levels that happened late last week. So, turn this around, get this thing green, all is well. In regards to the retracements, be another weekly close above. The story was also the same for the S&P 500. Earlier this week, broke above all retracement levels. Yesterday's move, backtesting on top of the retracement levels. Close green today. Then we can get a definitive break above all retracement levels. Meanwhile, what do we see? We see the S&P's weekly right back at the retracement. The NASDAQ's and the Dow Jones right at it. So get a green day today to finish off the week. All these weekly candles will shift up and have definitive closes above the retracement levels. So that's really the kind of macro picture to watch for today. As for the DXY, or the US dollar currency index, yesterday's big move in markets also comes with a whipsaw move happening over here in the US dollar. Price has shuffled back to the broken supports that took place last week. Eyes will be there to see if we end up getting a weekly close backtest happening in here, or should we end up getting a reversal happening in here. I think it's pretty obvious. What do? We break. Then at the same time, what happens with all of the major indexes? They all break the retracement levels. They're kind of hand in hand, right? These will probably go in unison with each other today. The DXY turns over and gets rejected, and the stocks shift their way up and clear all the retracement levels, or this dollar continues its strength and those indexes lose the retracement levels. It's a very obvious statement. It's a blanket statement, up or down. Not really trying to predict what will happen there. I'm trying to represent the significance of being at these levels. We are at them. Let's clear them. Should we clear them? Hate it or love it, that's a good sign for Bitcoin. We've gone through it many times on this channel. That is a key component for Bitcoin's bullish behavior has been a bullish stock market, and in particular, bullish Dow Jones Industrial Average. And then, hate it or love it, bullish Bitcoin is a component for a bullish XRP price. So that's something to keep an eye on for today heading into the weekend. As for XRP, pretty obvious structure in here. Super huge move coming off a summary judgment, not a security. An immediate pullback, a retracement back to retracement levels, unable to get through and pulling back. Now time to see how it responds to moving averages. It's still technically just ranging, has lost that super mega bull strength that it once had. But should Bitcoin get a turn to the upside, get pretty excited about it. We've been now here for one whole month. Today is finally the 1 month mark of being stuck within this range. While the current low has been holding this whole time, each time we shift up, we do tend to go set another little new high, but still stuck within here. No new lows have been set as of yet. As we've talked about, with each time we've had one of these and coming off of the A, B, C's, as those who've been watching the channel, you got that shoved in your face for 2.5 months. If there's some type of spill that happens in Bitcoin, that area to watch is 28,500. So not too far from where we're at 29,800. It's merely $1,300 away. One does have to wonder, though, if that is in the cards due to us sitting here for a full month. Each time we've looked at these, we've seen them spending this much time hanging out here is unusual. Whether we were teeing up for another shoot up or even teeing up in this circumstance, we've been here a long time. We've gone through these several times before. Each time these happened, we do eventually go back to back test them. Still unconvinced we have to, but man, it has been stuck here for just a tremendous amount of time compared to the velocity at which we've moved at. And we haven't been ranging in any of these contexts that we've been in. None of these ranges have lasted this long. My guess is when we leave this range, it's likely going to be like what we've been seeing already. People will likely be looking for some type of trending thing to make them feel good and for it to work its way out. But what we just keep seeing with Bitcoin's price is that when it eventually turns up, it just happens suddenly. Every move in Bitcoin has been a laser move up. Under no circumstances in which we've been shifting up have any of these been slow grinds. Every single one of them has just been suddenly shooting back to the upside. So just like XRP did the same thing, boring, teetering on for months on end, whoop, one big candle straight to the upside. Considering how strong the resistance is right above Bitcoin, my guess is probably the same type of thing. Eventually some big whack. Then, as usual, as always happens after a green candle, all the people who had given up and lost hope buy it back in after the price has already moved. So I think that kind of paints a picture of the broader market. We've spent the last week talking about the missing element for crypto, for XRP, has been Bitcoin's historical behavior of shifting up. We've seen no action come from Bitcoin. We are seeing interesting macro pictures being painted with all of the indexes above the retracement levels. Today will be an interesting day to see if they actually close the weeks above them. Then I still continue to wait for Bitcoin to move. As for the short-term context, which is why I mentioned I don't love looking at short-term things because we have to be able to identify when things shift very quickly, which is why yesterday I immediately started showing when these things started flipping. Here we go. We have deviations that now we have to see those things come back. One thing that definitely didn't happen was a break of the 50 moving average here on the 4-hour time frame. But the thing to know is that this is a ranging context. And so for those who are unfamiliar with ranging contexts, these are not like trends when you are in a range. Trends are very simple, right? You're just shifting up. You have your higher lows. You have your higher highs. All is well in the world. But in a ranging context, we can shift around in here and try to identify how is the range behaving. Typically, in between the range boundaries, we can have loop-de-loops of all kinds of chaos. This is the ranging context, which by definition is the more unpredictable area or the chaos zone. The only areas of interest in a range are at retracement levels and at the lows. Otherwise, everything in between is really not that important. It's not significant. It doesn't have too much meaning to it. While we are in this range, the things that will matter are, can we get through the retracement levels and can we hold supports at the lows? While we are sitting here in the middle, none of the actual price action that takes place in here has any true bearing on trend, with us making it back to retracement levels as we have, but then pulling back. The only time price is going to matter again is if we get back to it and should we be able to get through. Because in a ranging context, even professional traders know this is the dumb money zone. This is the no action zone. There are only two things to do here. They either sell the retracements and set a stop loss, or they buy the supports and set a stop loss. Anything in between is just emotional retail traders playing in the middle. So even if price works its way back up in here and gets back to 83, 84 cents, it actually still doesn't really have any meaning. It doesn't give any clear signal or any type of indication on future trend because it is still within the range. So the most important levels now for XRP are the clear of the retracement levels, which in particular will be about 86 cents. And to really kind of get super excited, probably 88 cents. Should we pop off here off the floor today, being at 77 and get our way back to 84? It doesn't mean anything. It only has meaning if we can get our way out of the retracement levels. So that's the focus throughout the weekend. Should we clear through 86? Time to become pretty attentive. And definitely we get through 88. Let's go. But now that the momentum has slowed, especially with them being at the retracement levels. We now sit in a ranging context, and the only areas that have any real meaning are going to be the top boundaries at the retracements and the lower boundaries at the floor that we set over there on the 14th. So the things we can look for to try to give us a clue of which way we'll go when we get back to either end of the boundary as we sit in the middle. I'm watching Bitcoin, I'm watching the stock market, and watching this dollar. And hopefully those can give us the clue. Otherwise, I know emotions run hot when we're looking at these really small time frames, right? We're talking about 1 week's worth of price action. For those of us who have been here, we're coming off of a year and 2 months of accumulating and finally getting a big breakout. You know, if we have to come back and back test the top of the range, okay, it's not the end of the world. I know we're all excited and want things to just keep on ripping, but it's going to be the things we've talked about all week long. We've grinded our way back up to the top of the range, similar to how we did back in 2017. As we got to the retracement levels, early indicators were telling us things were waning. We expressed that. The concern still is going to remain, which has been mentioned in every video. As we have broken out, we still sit way above the range. And until that third range boundary gets taken out, we're going to have to keep talking about it. So on the short-term time frame, with the current range that XRP is in right now, the only significant thing to pay attention to is the third range boundaries, which are going to be retracement levels on the top side and the floor down here on the bottom side. If price clears 86 cents, it's likely time to start getting really excited. Any price close to that, anything like 83, 84 has no meaning. It's still the third range boundary. Everything matters above retracement levels. And while this has definitely become more complex, the big picture is still ridiculous. So hopefully today we get some clues there from the stock market. We get some clues there in Bitcoin. Like mentioned all week, still we have the missing element of Bitcoin, but we are getting the signals there from the stock market. Should we get a green close today heading into the weekend, that'd be some nice optimism to have, because that's an element that XRP has always needed, is Bitcoin. I always say that's the most unsexy thing that I have to say, because there's so many narratives out there for why price rises, but the reality of it is it's been correlated with Bitcoin. That's why in all the videos all week in Markets in the Morning, we still always bring up the stock market because it's so important. Good news is we're like at this big day for the stock market, and hopefully today we get the weekly closes above all retracement levels. So keep your eyes peeled on that. That'll be the first sign heading into the weekend if we can have an optimistic time. So I'll check in with you guys soon. I do believe I have some free time this weekend, so if anything crazy does happen, I will be available this weekend. Like I've mentioned in Markets in the Morning, like I've mentioned multiple times over there on Twitter and retweeted, I will be off July 28th through July 31st. That does run through a weekend, so that's only going to impact next Friday and the following Monday. I will be completely off those 4 days, July 28th through the 31st. However, I do believe I have some free time this weekend. So if we do have any type of wild price action this weekend, I should be able to check in here on the YouTube channel and review it. Otherwise, big fingers crossed for the stock market today, and that translating over into Bitcoin and over there into XRP. Otherwise, we'll keep an eye on the third range boundary, see if we can get through 86 cents. Should we do so? Hey, let's go. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. If you're looking for something to do throughout the weekend, you want to see how I pull up all these indicators and look at these charts, add these fractals, these structures, these Fibonacci, third range boundaries. I go over all of it over here on my website, bcbacker.com. It's over 40 videos with over 11 hours of content, deep diving into the crypto market, charts, all that fun stuff to teach you how to do all the things that you see here on the channel so you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about and it doesn't sound so foreign. I try to explain all this stuff in simple to understand ways as I do here on YouTube in an organized format on my website, whether we're talking about Fibonacci retracement, third range boundaries, Wyckoff accumulation, which XRP just broke out of, or Elliott wave theory, or really if you're wanting to just have a better understanding of how the cryptocurrency market has behaved throughout the past, along with a lot of market experience information that I've shared here now being in this market for over 6 years. You can check that out over here on bcbacker.com. There's also a link in the description of this video. Otherwise, I wish you guys a wonderful weekend. I hope I do have to check in with you guys because prices are pumping. But if prices are dumping, I'll be here too for it. I'll be here too. But all right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.